Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, professor of physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of June 12th, 2023 this time around. So let's start with the last few weeks. We've been talking about Mars passing by the Beehive cluster in Cancer. Last week we mentioned Venus is closing on Mars, and Venus is going to have its chance this week to pass through. So either, if you're here in the middle of North America like I am, either the evening of the 12th or the evening of the 13th. So it gets dark, you look to the west as it gets dark. The brightest object you see out there, that's Venus. And so you see Venus as the bright glowing dot. You get your binoculars out and you'll see the beautiful Beehive, M44, the Beehive star cluster. Is a wonderful star cluster, open star cluster. Let's just go ahead and take a break and talk about that right now. We've talked about that before. We'll talk about it again. Our galaxy looks something like this. We live here, so we have a disk and we have a bulge in the middle. Open star clusters are these smaller star clusters with maybe a few tens, a few hundreds of stars in them that live in the plane of our galaxy, all scattered out through here in the disk of the galaxy. Globular star cluster, a few 100,000 stars in them, live in a halo around the center of the galaxy, around the bulge down here. So we live right here looking that direction. We see all kinds of open star clusters scattered along the disk of the galaxy. M44, the Beehive cluster, is one of these. It's a beautiful nearby big one. And so we can see now Venus will pass by it on the evenings of the 12th and the 13th for me. And it'll be close there no matter where you are in the world in the evening of the 12th or the 13th. Go out and take a look at Venus near the Beehive star cluster. So that's a great thing we want to do. Now the morning of the 14th, so you watch the Venus near the Beehive cluster on the evening of the 13th. Get up early in the morning of the 14th. This whole region, Jupiter here, rises at about 3:30 in the morning. So we're talking about just before dawn. It gets light early right now if you're in the northern hemisphere like I am. And so just before dawn, you go out and you'll see Jupiter with a nice 15% full moon, a really slender crescent moon, only about 3 degrees away. Remember, you hold your fist out at arm's length, that's about 10 degrees. So a third of a fist, maybe, across there, separating Jupiter and Venus. Going to be great, going to be fantastic. 3:34 in the morning, check that out. It's a beautiful bright dot of Jupiter. Okay, so now we've also got Saturn in the morning sky. Saturn, we've been talking about Venus and Mars and Saturn all spring, and these stars, these planets, have been moving east against the background stars. We call that prograde motion. It's normal motion. Everything in the solar system looks like this. There's the sun, and everything is orbiting around the sun in the same direction. And so we see all these stars in their normal motion moving east against the background stars. But as we catch up and pass those outer planets, they suddenly, from our point of view, look like we see it here, and then here, and then here, and then here. It looks like it's going backward against because we're moving faster, we're catching up and passing. The outer planets look like they're moving backward against the background stars. So we see that happening now. Retrograde motion, we call that. Saturn starts retrograde motion at the end of this week. Saturn, so it doesn't just jump. It's like as we catch up to that outer planet, we see it slowing down and slowing down and slowing down before it starts to slowly move backwards. So it's a moving, slowing, and then starting back in the retrograde motion. And that's what Saturn's going to do. So Saturn sits about 1.5 degrees, about half the distance between the moon and Jupiter on the morning of the 14th. About 1.5 degrees, pretty close to this 4.8 magnitude star Sigma Aquarii. And so it's sitting to the east of Sigma Aquarii about 1.5 degrees. And look at it, see if you can find, if you have a very dark sky, you'll see that star. If you don't have a dark sky, get your binoculars out again, and you should be able to see that point of light that's just to the right in your binocular view of Saturn. Sketch it. See if you can see other stars around in the binocular field of view to get a sense of the separation of Saturn and Sigma Aquarii. And this part, as it slows down and at the end of the week starts back the other direction, it's moving so painfully slowly. We've been watching. One of the things we love about the planets is watching. Planet means wanderer. It's Greek, right? And so one of the things we love about the planets is watching them move against the background stars. But the sort of juxtaposed against that is to say, if we love to see them move against the background stars, it's fun when they're not. And over the next few weeks, Saturn is just painfully motionless against the background stars. That separation from Sigma Aquarii, it's just not gonna change at all. And so just keep watching and watching and watching over the next few weeks before you start to see Saturn close that gap a few weeks later. We'll circle back in a month and talk about that as Saturn closes the gap down on Sigma Aquarii. And it heads back in the general. The brighter star that you see, if you keep moving to the west, the brighter star that you see is Deneb Algaty, tail of the goat, Arabic. Tail of the goat in Capricorn. So Capricorn, we got Nashira just to the west of Deneb Algaty. And Capricorn looks like this grouping of stars here maybe. And we can see brighter stars, fainter stars along the limbs here, brighter stars up here that mark that. If you've been watching these videos, and I don't know why you wouldn't have been watching these videos for years, we know that Saturn spent the last couple of years very close to the Deneb Algaty before it started this, before it started this quick motion, prograde motion against the background star. Now it's going to start to reverse direction and head back in the general direction of Deneb Algaty as summer fades into fall. It's not going to get there, but it's going to head back this. I don't think it's going to get there. I haven't paid that much attention, but it's going to head back that direction toward this tail of the goat that we have here. It's about 13 degrees right now, so maybe a fist and a half at arm's length is what you're looking for the brighter Deneb Algaty out here to the west of Saturn. So let's look at a couple other things in Capricorn. This region of sky in Capricorn rises 10:30, 10 o'clock at night. This side maybe 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night over by the time you get here. So by 11 o'clock, 11:30 in the evening, this should be well placed for observing, and in a couple of weeks even more so. But while we're in this region and looking at it, we go out down here. Zeta is the brightest star that you get down the lower, the southern track, the southern arm of Capricorn. And just below Zeta is a globular star cluster, M73. Remember, the globulars live in a halo around here. My guess is you might be able to see that with binoculars if you've got a good dark sky. It's a little bit south for me to be able to do that. But if you've got good binoculars and a good southern horizon, you might be able to see good dark skies. You might be able to see M30, this globular cluster. If not, a small telescope, it'll pop right out for you. You go up the northern arm of Capricorn, and you take this star right here. There's a couple of faint stars along the arm, and then there's this brighter star, slightly brighter star that has this upturn to the north, and you make a triangle like that, and you have an open star cluster, M73. Remember, open star clusters like the Beehive along the disk of the galaxy, and right next to it is another globular cluster, M72. So these are star clusters that are relatively easy to find in Capricorn if you can trace your stars along Capricorn. It's good practice to be tracing the stars of Capricorn, and we're using Saturn in the region right now as an excuse to do this. But sometime around midnight, this is a good sort of activity, astronomical activity to undertake, is to see if you can find the stars of Capricorn. Find globular cluster M30, globular cluster M72, and open star cluster M73. Binoculars probably pull these things out, especially M73. Binoculars probably pull these things out as fuzzy little patches. A small telescope will help you find them a little bit better. Enjoy finding the stars right here. Think about Saturn entering retrograde motion this week, not moving much at all. Jupiter's still moving against the background stars. Venus and Mars are moving against the background stars. Those will be the next. Venus before long is going to head into retrograde motion and start closing on Mars. It's going to start pulling away from Mars. But watch it near the Beehive cluster this week. It should be a great week for observing. I don't know if, we don't have the smoke of the East Coast right now. We've had smoke in the sky the entire spring. It's been not a great spring for observing for us. And we've got some here right now, but it's not as bad as what you're reading about and seeing pictures of other places. So maybe where you are, you don't have as much smoke in the sky, or maybe it's going to dissipate. Maybe it's going to fade away, and you'll have a chance to get out and do some of this observing. I hope you do. I hope you have a great week. And as always, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll have something new for you next week.